Through its innovative use of guitars, bass and production techniques, post-punk redefined the sound of punk. So let's break down some of the key elements that define this era and explore how it remains just as influential today as when it first emerged. So let's start with bass. This instrument in post-punk plays a pivotal part, often stepping out of the traditional supporting role to become a driving force in the music. Unlike some of the aggressive simplicity of early punk, post-punk bass lines typically play more of a central role. Artists like Peter Hook of Joy Division and Simon Gallup of The Cure pioneered a style that used bass as a lead instrument rather than simply following what the guitar played. It's also quite common to hear bass lines drenched in effects, like distortion, choruses or flanges, which help to enhance the dark atmosphere found in many iconic post-punk recordings. This isn't to say that some bands didn't carry over the aggressive energy of earlier punk into the post-punk era. Many bands maintained that dry, punchy sound of early punk rock recordings, and in some cases coupled that with a funkier edge. The way in which the bass was typically played also saw a massive change during this era, with more focus on chords, droning and counter melodies, along with the rise in very non-traditional playing styles. Guitars in post-punk also took on a starkly different sound and songwriting direction, whereas bands like the Ramones and the Damned focused more on rhythm, using heavily distorted bar chords to fill out their sound. Many post-punk recordings featured more reserved and static playing, favouring uniquely defined parts in the left and right speakers. And frequently use tricks like call and response, where a phrase or melody is played in one channel and then answered by another guitar in the opposite channel. Ideas like these are worth analysing and fully exploring in your own music, as they can be applied to any situation or genre. They can also help transform what might otherwise be a fairly boring part into something much more engaging. Now, of course, it wouldn't be post-punk without talking about that signature dark atmosphere, which runs throughout many of the genre's iconic tracks. This moody sound is created through a combination of minimalistic arrangements, atmospheric effects, and dissonant chords, all of which help to evoke that cold, tense, post-punk sound. Guitars and synths are often used to create texture and soundscapes, with effects like chorus, delay, and reverb being crucial to this. Sometimes this can be done in more subtle ways. Other times it's used as a wall of sound, where it's less about hearing the individual tracks and more about how they combine to create a certain texture. A lot of these sounds went on to influence further genres like post-rock, shoegaze and indie rock, along with a whole host of modern bands who clearly take influence from this sound and style, whether it's the pummeling rhythm sections of acts like Idols and Protomata, the more idiosyncratic sound of bands like Squid or Black Midi. I'm the cleaner, but you don't even know my name! Or the more artsy approach taken by artists like Black Country New Road and English Teacher.
Everyone will say it was cool.
If you'd like to discover even more great punk music to listen to, then check out my video on what I personally believe is the most underrated scene in punk rock.